Alright, we're here playing some historic best of 3 Merfolk, trying out Jet Collector in the deck in place of the Silvergill Adepts. Quick matchup against a diamond opponent, Mavlev. We are on the play, haven't come up against this opponent before, no companion for hints, so obviously we'll take the play. One of the changes we made to get Jet Collector in the deck was swapping the lands around a little bit to fit a few secluded courtyards in. As opposed to the Cavernous Souls, we can use this to activate the black mana of Jet Collector's ability. This seems keepable. We'll be able to cast everything that we've got in hand. We can hit a coco, so we should be good to go. Not a lot of interaction though, so we're either hoping we don't need it against whatever their deck is, or that we draw into it. So here we're just going to put a tapped breeding pool, reveal as little information as possible about what we're on. Tapped, Restless Fortress. Interesting. All right, so play a secluded courtyard and put out our tunnel guide, start to get value off of that. Usually a black-white would indicate some sort of mid-range or control. Same goes for a Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Let's get in, see if they do anything. Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to hold up and cast a Merfolk Trickster at a turn. I'd like to have a little more information about what they're doing. Second tunnel guide would have been the most value we could get. Oh, Esper. So that's going to mess with our cocos a little bit. Otherwise, not something we're super worried about. Let's Trickster that down. And we're going to put the counter on the Trickster here because the tunnel guide is more likely to be sacked to a Hex Catcher in the future. We know they're on Esper now, so some sort of Esper creature-based mid-range build. Let's just activate the second Mutavault, get in for some damage here, and put them on the back foot. We'll put the counter on the Trickster again. Oh, instead we'll draw Cavernous Souls. So let's get in for our damage. Cavern could be really good next turn, giving us 5 mana to potentially cast a Svelian and attack with a Mutavault. Notably, we don't have enough to cast all of those colors. Tasha into our Hex Catcher. We're just going to sack the Tunnel Guide. We do not want to have to deal with that Planeswalker. And they played an island this turn, so that's good game with the Pearl Trident in hand. Here comes Pearl Trident. Put a counter on the Trickster. I don't think there's anything 0 mana we're worried about here, and they confirm, and they scoop. Alright, so we're assuming some sort of control-y mid-rangey build. Given that it's Esper, I'm assuming they've got some graveyard shenanigans going on. So we're going to pull in our Unlicensed Hearse. I assume running that particular Redain, I think it was. There's a reason for that. I'm going to bring in some Eaten by Piranhas as well. I don't know about an extra Tidebinder or a Mindsinger. We didn't really see much out of the deck, so I'm not going to bring them in blindly. Phyrexian Revoker we could bring in against Tasha. But I don't know if we need to. We've got some Tidebinders. Now that I say that, let's bring in another Tidebinder. We won't bring in another Revoker unless we see more targets. We'll bring in the Shaper Sanctuary because we always do against controller mid-range decks just to gain some card advantage. So the usual suspects can come out here, the things that 1-for-1 in a control matchup. Given that they have islands in the deck, we want to keep the Pearl Tridents in. So we're going to drop 3 Shoreline Scouts and 3 Reejeries. We didn't bring that much in, and that is our whole plan, essentially. Everything in here either grants evasion or helps us grind it out against a control deck playing the card advantage game. So let's see how this goes. Okay, game 2 on the draw. Our mana's good again, but our interaction is not. We're not super worried about that, so we can keep this hand. We'll look to run out that Unlicensed Hearse if it looks like the coast is clear. Let's Cavernous Souls just in case they have something that could counter this spell on turn 1. The Svelian we will keep on top. We've got the mana for it, and even if they know about it, knowing that our card Advantage Engine is coming always puts some pressure on them. Oh, uncounterable 2 mana targeted removal. I don't know if that's good or not. Let's play a Mutavault here and we'll put the Unlicensed Hearse out and start eating their graveyard without putting anything else of ours at risk. End the turn. Hearse on that long goodbye. Alright, so here, because we have 2 instant speed fish up next turn or a Collected Company, we're going to risk that Svelian. So play the Cavernous Souls and not take any damage, and put Svelian out on the field. I'm kind of expecting her to get hit with a Destruction or Exile spell. And that's fine. It's a 1-for-1. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, we'd like to draw some more cards. One of the other neat things that adding Jet Collector to the deck does is it gives us more incentive to have more stuff in the graveyard, so we can play a little higher risk. Second Hall of the Storm Giants. That's interesting to play 2 of those lands in a deck. Alright, we're just going to play a untapped Breeding Pool and pass the turn. So we've got the options here to either Trickster and Hexcatcher if we need to counter something, or Collected Company in response, or end of turn. How does Legion's Landing work? Okay, do we think that Foretold card is the Sweeper or the Counterspell? I'm betting Sweeper, but we can play around the Counterspell here by casting Hexcatcher and Trickster carefully. So if he's going to attack, let's carefully tap for blue, and throw the Trickster in. Take away its lifelink, go to blocks. Didn't look like it was the Counterspell here, so we'll end up playing the Hexcatcher at end of turn. Yeah, let's sacrifice the Trickster here, just in case he would want to target the Unlicensed Hearse. We'll eat that out of his graveyard at the end of the turn, and continue on. Alright, so here, I think we play the Breeding Pool tapped and keep the Coco up. We'll swing in with that Hexcatcher and see what they want to do next turn. They're not going to want to use a Sweeper against just a Hexcatcher, but they might tap enough mana that if that is the Foretold Counterspell, okay, that's fine. He really wanted to destroy that Unlicensed Hearse. We might get this Coco countered here. Then at least we know. Alright. Oh, but he is tapped out. We will take a bit of a gamble here. Counter that Counterspell and see our Coco resolve. Oh, and this is the gamble we took. I always like to look at these to see if it's my sideboard cards that are hitting me, but I could have had this same whiff in game 1. Alright, that pays us off a little bit for that gamble, in that we can get in for 6 here. So here I'm going to hold up the Secluded Courtyard. It comes into play untapped. We don't have any extra creature lands on the board, and that Mutavault activation represents something that we can do. Pretty normal Tasha play. So if I attack, we're going to... Oh, and he is hellbent with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he doesn't have enough to pull out the Storm Giants next turn. So I think I have to kill that Tasha. Yeah, so we'll play this Secluded Courtyard this turn. Activate Mutavault. We have to get in with everything because it's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the Pearl Trident can actually go to the face. We're going to attack here, here, and here. Hate this ability so much, but at least we got Tasha down. So there's the chance that they can activate the Hall of the Storm Giants if this is an untapped land. Or are they going to be greedy and hit that Mutavault? They are. They have no blockers. We'll go take another land, thin the deck a little bit. We didn't need the mana, but that is all right. We've got our one island just for this circumstance. Will they have the mana up for Eye Tyrant? They will, and they have played an island. So we're not going to attack with the Master of the Pearl Trident here, just the Tidebinder and the Trickster getting in for 6 each turn through their blocker. So let's head in. He's going to be quite disappointed when he notices that they can't be blocked. That's actually one thing I wish Arena did a little bit more proactively, like that ridiculous reach indicator that the island walk was there before creatures were on the board. And that's it. Playing against a control deck with islands, we feel like we're generally pretty favored in that matchup. Didn't get to see anything out of Jet Collector, but the rest of the deck did its thing against control.